I have one more message. Actually, I did this, how to share another message just right before this. This is the basis of the talk that I will share through my trips in Alvaro and British Columbia. Sorry about my pronunciation. Somehow I have trouble with pronouncing Alberta, Canada. So I'll be traveling through the west part of Canada next week. And as I was thinking of what to share, I have two things to share about the nature of practice in Mahayana Buddhism. I talked about Anpanman, one cartoon show character um, who, without a hesitation, shared the part of his head. He's made of ampan, which is sweet bean paste filled bread, and how he does it without sort of a sense of hesitation and with this giving. Last time I had a tour in the US, I talked about him, right? Introducing different sort of bodhisattvas, statues of Buddhas and bodhisattvas. But Ampama is absolutely my favorite because he really embodies what we talk about bodhisattva practice. Now, how bodhisattva practice isn't about self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice carries the nuance that something is lost, something is sacrificing something. No, the it comes with no trace. One thing done, there's no trace. That's kind of how the creator of Ampaman depicts his character, the story. It's because it's a children's show. He doesn't want to share the story of self-sacrifice. He gives out his resource, strength freely. He absolutely freely wins sometimes, freely loses, and freely he gets helped by his friends. There are quite a few of them in the show. Here you go. Then there's no trace. And I think it's an important thing to remember for as we practice Zen in the West, because we tend to sometimes find a trace of a virtue or virtuous acts up in the middle, nowhere in the air, where you don't, but you try to find that trace, the footsteps. That's a little different. It's a little different. Anyway, that's the story of Ampaman that I shared, and which I think I will share again, because yeah, because something to share with my Canadian friends. The thing I was sharing still, besides that story about Ampaman, was the flavors of Zen. And I was watching the documentary of Eiheiji, which was recently made, I think, and I listened to the talk of, oh, I guess two persons. One was the Tenzo Osho, and he does cooking for the Sangha there. And the person who basically represent the temple as Tendo Osho, somebody who preaches. Yeah. But then, to me, like, I always make this kind of silly comparison. Tenzo is like an engineer of Toyota. They know the whole thing, but they don't speak much. So we don't really get to hear that deep, insightful teachings they share, because of course it's not the words. It comes through this serving the sanghas, through the meals and cooking. In Zen practice, see, I never did it, so I'm not really in a position to say this as if I know this. But I have seen Tenzo Osho's, and I have tasted the food. So That's the best. That's my standpoint. But in the Zen monastery, the Tenzo, the Zen cook, served the sangha, and there are 6 kind of flavors they have to kind of create a harmony with. And one is sweet and bitter. So bitter is in it too. It's good to have bitter to some extent to make it the taste food better, to better. Uh, Sweet, bitter, salty, spicy, uh, sour. That's fine, right? And then there's that 6th flavor, which is awami, which means faint flavor, uh, subtle flavor. And I would even go one more step forward to say it's the original flavor of the ingredients, original flavor of the carrots, daikon radish, um, potato, original flavor. If you go there as a guest, sometimes they serve you a plate with that original flavors abundantly available. But they said it's important for us to hold this here and receive it instead of taking it away for our own sake. So there's a certain thing important about the attitude we face the food and how we encounter those 6 flavors. That's how we eat in the monastery. We're using oryoki meal, this balls, Buddha balls. And it does taste quite different. It really tastes good. I think for a combination of reasons, but I think one is of course the way it's served and cooked, but other one is how we receive them. You can try it at home with the chanting and verse, that how you face this and respectfully receive this. I liked it when another representative was saying this is also the case when we face sitting, the practice of sitting zazen, the practice of bowing, practice of chanting, just about everything else, if not all, of life. How we face our car, how we face our own bedding, pillows, how we face our kid, how we face our friends at school. When you face and allow that original subtle flavor to penetrate, to come out, then you are really, really in touch with that abundant, subtle, faint flavor of the practice of your friend, of the everydayness of life. So yeah, I get to be hasty often. So it was a good lesson for me. In Zen practice, a lot of people learn through books. And I think it's fine. And I think it's actually good to seek some tangible approaches. And yet, I think when I talk to my Buddhist friends from Asian countries, one of the greatest virtues in Buddhist practice is patience. Patience. And by patience, I don't mean to say that you have to suppress all these things, pretend that you don't have pains, pretend that you don't have doubt or questions. It's not the kind of thing that I am talking about here. It's like the patience that plum tree has waiting for the spring to arrive. It's that kind of patience that maybe, it's, maybe the people in the north, Inuits, indigenous people have when they do hunting. It's not, maybe it's a little funny comparison to make. But I know people who do hunting have this sort of stay there and stay there and stay there. This sort of a patience to just wait and let the nature give you what you are hoping for without expecting. Same with the food. As we want something immediately, we get tempted to add more peppers, salt. I'm just talking as a symbolic, just as a symbol. I used to put a lot of ketchup on rice when I was a kid because I liked the flavor of the ketchup. Then I kind of was missing out this sweetness of the rice itself. And we do that sometimes with Zazen, right? We do this with our friends. We want to paint the people that we think we know according to our own colors. We tend to paint and color the truth, things that are happening the way we want them to be colored. And we're depriving ourselves of an opportunity to really encounter that experience of meeting that moment. Zazen practice is a great way, and in a sense, everything there is to be offered to have that authentic encounter with what is the subtle original flavor. The interesting thing is, in a Zen instruction, we say that's the kind of flavor that enhances the flavors of others, enhances the greatness of bitterness, sourness, sweetness, saltiness, spiciness, all these flavors. And I think there's also that expectation, there's that maybe understanding in the modern day Soto Zen school that you become that subtle flavor that enhances other flavors. The flavor, so hard, subtle, hard to sense, subtle, but it's that flavor that gives life to other flavors. And it's a great place to sort of sit, I think. And it's one of the teachings that I think I encountered way back. Sometimes I forget about this, but I find this teaching quite helpful often. Anyway, I wanted to share this with you. Thank you very much for listening. And I will share, maybe I'll kind of talk about this from a different angle a little bit more, but this is what I'm going to share with my Canadian friends. All right.